Welcome to another video with Madame Moi. Again, stop, take notes, or change the speed of the video however you want. This is your video. Bienvenue adjective. To discuss adjectives, we have to discuss nouns because nouns will change those adjectives. Nouns have all the power. So what is an adjective? It is something that describes a noun. That's why the noun has power over it. So if I want to describe myself, I'm so intelligent. Intelligent is an adjective that describes me. How is it different in French and how is it similar in French? Well, let's take a look at an example, but make sure we know those parts of speech real quick. So can you pause and label these parts of speech? Okay, so the nouns are the stepsister and the frog, and she and her. Articles are the, and adjectives are the evil or naughty and ugly. All right, so let's take a look about how the nouns have all the power. The nouns in the sentence can be the subjects, and so they're going to change the verb conjugation. So in our subject-verb-object, where the subject and then to be in an adjective, we see that this will change the conjugation of the verb, and the adjective will change depending upon if that same noun is masculine, feminine, or plural. See all these threads? They have all changed because the subject is different. So let's take a look at those adjective agreements and making them agree. So most of our adjectives will kind of be like this pattern here. And all these patterns in yellow are very common. And I'll show you another one on the next slide. So masculine adjectives, we generally leave those alone. Those are our default. Feminine, we most of the time are just going to add an E. Masculine plural, add an S. And feminine plural, add an ES. All right, so that will change the pronunciation because remember what I said, we don't pronounce a final consonant unless there's an E following it? Well, let's take a look at brilliant or smart. So we have brillant. Notice that T isn't pronounced, the N makes the A nasal, brillant. Okay, but when I have an E on the end, all of a sudden, I have brillante. All right, so there's a big difference. Now, adjectives that already end in an E kind of seem invariable because masculine and feminine, they don't change. And we only need an S to make them feminine. So the same, agréable, agréable, they're the same. Occupé, these are adjectives that end in an E accent aigu, and they're going to act like our very first category. So we add an E, S, ES. But the sound will be the same because they already end in an A sound. An extra E or S will not change that sound. Adjectives that end in IF, like actif, sportif, naïf, impulsif, or vif, we are going to change that F to a V, so vif, vive. Ends in IR, like étranger, entier, léger, premier, dernier. They end in ER, and we'll add an ERE, but this accent aigu here. They'll still sound the same. Fier, fier. All right, other ones that might change sound, and we have one more very common adjective changing. Things that end in ET are going to be complet and complète. So notice there's a difference in sound. Very common, if it ends in EUX, it'll change to EUSE. So curieux versus curieuse. Things that end in AN, EN, ON, bon, become bonne. EL, cruel, cruel, sound the same. Pareil, pareil, sound the same. And completely irregular ones like beau, belle, becomes beau, belle. These are just completely irregular. So an adjective is a word that describes a noun. It gives more detail. It makes our sentences sound amazing because they fill it with feeling, as adjectives do. So in English and French, that's similar. They're different because they have to agree with the noun, masculine, feminine, or plural. And they're different in that they're going to go after those nouns. Belle sœur méchante, grenouille laide. Even thinking about the subject, verb, object that can be similar in French, it's still going to be different, or similar in English. It's going to be different in French because it's a subject with an adjective after, then your verb, and maybe an object, adjective following. So our brain's going to have to do some mental gymnastics. And we're going to see that most of our adjectives are going to follow after. Most of these adjectives are following after. So overall, adjectives, what are they? Something that describes a noun. How are they different in French? Placement and agreement. And how are they similar? We use them in the same way. We make things sound so much better in French and any language by using lots of adjectives. Now, there are some adjectives that you have learned probably called possessive adjectives, and those don't follow the rules that we described in the same sense. They will be placed before the noun, and they're actually replacing our article. So we don't have to say something like my phone. I just have to say my phone, which I'm sure you recall. So that's the general gist of adjectives. If this is your first time learning adjectives, you can stop the video here. If you would like to learn a little bit more about pronominal adjectives, stick around and I'll tell you all about it. Okay, so pronominal adjectives. There's some teachers who use something called this an acronym called BANGS, which stands for Beauty, Age, Numbers, Goodness, and Size. And it's a way to help students remember, hey, there's about 2 adjectives about beauty that can be placed before the noun. Ooh, watch out. And there's about 4 adjectives that have to do with age that can go before the noun. Ooh, what 4 are those? And then numbers, there's a vast amount of numbers that are ordinal numbers that can go before the noun, and about 4 adjectives with goodness that are often placed before the noun, and about 4 with size that can go before the noun. Now, the reason why I'm saying 4, that specific number, is because not every adjective that has to do with beauty, age, numbers, goodness, and size will go before the adjective. What has happened through time is these have developed abstract senses of the word. And because there's, instead of being a concrete adjective meaning, it's an abstract adjective meaning, or it's just so commonly placed in that location that now it goes in front. So joli, you will almost always hear it in front of the noun. Same thing with beau, belle, jeune, nouveau, nouvelle, but ancien. Ancien has 2 meanings. One of those is this abstract meaning of former. So I can say mon ancien professeur, my previous teacher, or I can say mon professeur ancien, which then he's just really old. See how that's a concrete meaning of old, and former is being, hey, my previous. Similarly with gros, we saw gros is on the list for being, it means basically fat. But look at, there's 2 different meanings here. So if I say, mon gros gâteau, it's like this thick cake. It's this big cake. It's not just like a fat cake, it's big. So that's a different abstract meaning. And similarly, a lot of these other adjectives can have both those meanings. And later on, when you start developing more of the sense of what those words mean and how they're used, it'll come to you a little better about when and how to use them. But for now, it's almost better to simply think of these are the ones that are often going to be placed before the noun. Now, there are tons more adjectives that I'm sure your book probably gives you. There's, I think, 180 some adjectives that are high frequency adjectives that I recommend that you learn and use. And of this, 81% of these are going to go after the noun and only a few before. And I think on the list I put whether it was bangs or not to help you. So some things that I really enjoy, and I'll just try to hit on a few so you can hear the pronunciation and you can enjoy them as much as I do. I love amoureux, amoureuse, because it's being in love. It's so cute. Bête, I found amusing because my students would often say, oh, he's so beast. And I'm like, ha 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 ha. In French, that means dumb if you say beast. Bronzé, there's a great movie called Les Bronzés. It's very funny. It's very old, about, tanned people who go on vacation. Other adjectives that I really like, curieux, désorienté, very facile, difficile, doux and douce. My daughter has a doudou, a soft, and we'll go in public and she'll be like, oh no, I lost my doudou, and everybody turns around like she lost her poop. So I enjoy doudou because it just makes people look at us funny. Drôle, very useful. If you say drôle de fille, though, you're talking about, an odd girl. Enchanté, of course, is when you greet somebody, it means you are enchanted or delighted to meet them. Ennuyeux, ennuyeux is boring, whereas ennuyeux is annoying, which I have students get those mixed up a little bit. Fâché, I love this. I love Scottish history too, and they often say, "Have you ever heard of that? Don't fâche yourself." Well, that is from French, because there are a lot of Scottish, spoke some French and stuff. So, fâché is angry. Fatigué, very useful, right? Fier, je suis très fière de mes enfants. Fou, folle, yeah, I probably use that a lot because, well, français. Heureux, heureuse. One of the hardest words for some of my French students to say with that in it. But if you ever listen to babies when they first start talking, they make that sound. They say heureux, 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 heureux. So like babies are happy. So listen to that next time. I bet you'll love that. Incroyable, inquiète, very useful. Not as useful, but léger, you'll hear that when you're talking about food. C'est très léger, or c'est très lourd, or trop lourd. Malade, très utile. Merveilleux. We love to just say that it comes off the tongue, like. Nerveux, nerveuse. Ouverte, c'est très utile. Pareil, you'll hear that a lot. Again, these are all very useful adjectives because you'll hear them so often. Paresseux, paresseuse. Passé. Pire. Oh, that was a good one. It's also a noun. Plein, you gotta be careful because you don't want to say I am full because it means you're pregnant. Pressé, you're in a hurry. Pure, a nice one. And notice it's got that so it's like a pure. Ravi, I love that one. Secret, secrète, sérieux, sérieuse. Solitaire, c'est triste. Terrible is interesting because if you say, c'est terrible, I mean, what's awesome. So it's like this false friend. Oh, like formidable. Like in English, formidable or formidable means, a formidable opponent, right? But in French, formidable means awesome. Travailleur, travailleuse, hardworking. Triste, sad. So when I see kids named Tristan, I think, oh, sad. Vide, empty. So if you say j'ai la tête vide, or you're dizzy, empty head. I tried to create a Quizlet with all of these adjectives to help you so that you can improve your French, because again, the more adjectives you know, the more fluid your French sounds, the more developed your sentences are going to be. And comme toujours, si vous avez des questions, laisse-moi savoir. À bientôt.